Hey, Dr. Valerie Rain here, coming on to talk to you about patriarchy, stress disorder, trauma adaptations, aka prison guards. Prison guards. I am so passionate about this topic, this conversation, because women always get blamed that for having prison guards. Women always get blamed for the behaviors, the thoughts, the choices that they make because of these trauma adaptations, because of these prison guards. And I'm here to demystify this and to set the record straight that it's not our fault. It's not even our choices. Our choices are made in our subconscious. And that's exactly the place from which these prison guards run the show. They drive the bus. So the prison guards I'm going to talk to you about fall into 6 categories, and I'm going to break it down into 6 different videos. And these categories go in the progression of overwhelm, right? What are trauma adaptations? These are mechanisms that protect us from overwhelm. They keep us safe. They're designed to keep us safe. But then there are huge costs at which they do so, and we'll get around to it. But first, to understand how this progression goes from the least to the most, we're going to start with the prison guard of Appease, or rather the category, the trauma response of Appease and the prison guards that go with that. Then we're going to talk about fight, aggression, action. That's going to be very surprising for you, I promise. And then we're going to move on to flight, freeze, shutdown, and somatization. And some very concrete thoughts, feelings, actions, choices, behaviors that fall in each category. Why is this so important to understand that it is a progression, and find yourself on that progression that may start with Appease and then move progressively to aggression, action, fight, then flight, then freeze. If that fails, shutdown. If that fails, somatization, so that you can get off that progression as soon as you notice yourself on it and save yourself from the escalation. Because the escalations that with each phase bring a lot more chaos, bring a lot more trouble, bring a lot more heartache, and sometimes pretty dire consequences, especially as we move, further up that progression. But actually at each stage, the consequences of being at the mercy of our prison guards are dire. So I'm not going to leave you at doom and gloom, I promise. We just need to wake up in prison. We need to keep our eyes open to what's actually going on so that we can stop blaming ourselves, right? As the culture blames women for what is actually created, not through our conscious choices, but through prison guards. So the first positive outcome of learning about this is that we stop blaming ourselves. We understand it's not our flaws, it's not our failings. And then I'm going to share with you how you can interrupt that progression and reclaim your sovereignty, reclaim your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And from there, design, live, and fully enjoy your life from the place of your deep, authentic desires. How does that sound? I'd love to hear your questions, how this is landing for you, any comments as I dive into this. All right. So when we talk about trauma, it's important to understand it's not only what happened in your lifetime. And I define trauma as any event or circumstance that made you feel unsafe in your fullest authentic expression and led to creating trauma adaptations to keep you safe. in addition to your personal experiences, which I'm sure have been plenty, we need to consider cultural and intergenerational trauma, such as the trauma of patriarchy, the trauma of racism, the traumas that affect whole communities, and the traumas that have been affecting our mothers, our grandmothers, etc. Right? So there's a lot that we're working with. And so these adaptations are not only yours, they're also inherited. Okay, setting the record straight. So I'm going to start with the adaptations that fall in the mildest category, which is appease. How does appease show up? And I'd love to hear in the comments how appease shows up in your life. We often hear from women that, first of all, they can't say no, or they can't speak up for themselves. They can't ask for that raise. They can't negotiate. Then they find themselves wearing a mask of being pleasant, being smiling, being accommodating, while deep down inside they may be burning. So they're disconnected from their own authentic experience, from their own authentic feelings and emotions. And the cost of that disconnection runs deep, because that's how we forget who we actually are. We forget our own authentic desires because we are so conditioned to use the mask. We're so conditioned to appease. So we keep showing up as not who we truly are, and then is that terribly surprising that we attract opportunities that do not reflect our worth. We're stuck in jobs and situations that do not reflect our worth. We are stuck in relationships that do not reflect our worth. We are plagued with the inner critic, the imposter syndrome. And the truth of the matter is, none of that is authentic, and all of that can shift once we begin reclaiming the ability to feel safe, which I will get around as we progress through as we progress through the series. Okay, so inability to say no. Let me know in the comments if that resonates with you. Can't say no, can't negotiate, speak up for myself, wearing a mask, being pleasant, leaving everybody smiling. We're calling it patriarchy poker face. Boundaries, trouble with boundaries, anyone? That is a huge part of appease. If only I take care of everyone else, if only I give to everyone else, I will be safe. Remember, trauma adaptations, aka prison guards, are there to keep us safe. So they're not our fault, and that's their function. So if you're having trouble with boundaries and you're trying to accomplish a change in that situation from the mind, oh, I'm just going to think differently about that. And ditto for inability to say no or wearing a mask. It is not effective. And you might have noticed that if you've been at it for a while. It is not authentic. It is not effective because your system, your subconscious still feels unsafe and you're still pulled to act. Actually, your subconscious chooses how you're going to act, feel, and think in a situation, right? It's not your conscious mind that's making these decisions, as we know from neuroscience. Fascinating and actually technically mind-blowing. So boundaries, and also time. We hear that so much. I don't have the time. I would have done this. I would have started my own business. I would have started my fitness regimen. I would have spent more time with my kids, would have had more romantic time with my partner, but I don't have the time. Well, here is a disruptive question for you. If you don't have the time, who the fuck has your time? Because somebody has your time. If that's not you. And it's a serious question. who has your time. And I'm here to share with you that prison guards have the bulk of your time. It's not even the boogeyman out there. It is your own prison guards trying to keep you safe. So when you are giving your time away, you're doing this unconsciously to keep yourself safe when you're putting everybody's needs and agendas first. And that does not begin to truly change until you reclaim the state of safety in being connected with your desires and following them. Remember that there is nothing more dangerous to patriarchy than a woman who is in touch with her desires. So your desires are very protected by the prison guards. They are committed to not get you in trouble. Women who reached for their desires were burned at the stake, locked up in asylums. Bad things happen throughout history. So this intergenerational trauma leads to a huge commitment to trauma adaptations, and they are taking up the bulk of your time. They are taking up the bulk of your energy and consequently money as well. So let me know how this is landing. If you have any questions, I'm going to be on for another few minutes, 7 or so minutes. So if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them. All right, appease, how that shows up in relationships. Oh my goodness. We recently had such a beautiful jailbreak story that one of our thrivers shared. And she was sharing about being patriarchy perfect across the board, being patriarchy perfect in her patriarchy perfect relationship, at work, being praised for that. And she was feeling dead inside. And in her relationship, this Appease prison guard was showing up as she called this orgasms on command. Orgasms on command. How heartbreaking is that? Because we understand those were not actual orgasms. But performative sex is a huge part of Appease, feeling disconnected from our own pleasure, just showing up to perform. And again, it's not our fault. I just hate it, and it breaks my heart when women are blamed for that. Women are called out for you not being authentic, or why can't you just say no? Why can't you just set a boundary or stop apologizing? Well, it's not us, though. These are prison guards. These are trauma adaptations. These are wired into our subconscious, and the subconscious is calling the shots. All right? So let that sink in and let me know which prison guards you are recognizing in yourself. There's another way, and you may discover more. I am calling out a few popular ones, but there are definitely more in the Appease category. In the room full of people, you may feel lonely and disconnected because you don't feel safe. It's not like you're going around thinking to yourself, I don't feel safe. But how it shows up is that you are wearing a mask. You are keeping yourself safe by holding back or by presenting in a certain way, trying to be patriarchy perfect, trying to appease. So you feel lonely. You feel lonely even in a room full of people, or maybe it's with your own family. Maybe it's even with your friends. And again, it's not your fault. It's not your failure in any way. This is the prison guards. These are the prison guards that fall in the category of Appease. So I will be checking back to see what this stirred up in you, what questions and comments showed up. Again, this is the first video in a series I'm going to share with you in a 6-part, maybe 7-part series, talking about these prison guard categories in progression and escalating progression. So Appease is the lowest level. This is our first go-to. When that doesn't work, we move into fight/aggression/action I promise you, when I start talking about this category, it's going to be really surprising for you, because you may not even identify with, oh, like, I don't go into a fight. But I'm just going to give you a preview of the coming attractions. What if I told you that workaholism falls into that category? I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll be sharing more with you tomorrow. So then, if that doesn't work, right, we move into flight, avoidance, hiding. There's a lot of pain there. Then freeze, tons of pain there, shut down, and summarization. So our goal behind the series is to let you know that you did not create any of these thoughts, any of these choices, and any of these behaviors, that they are here to keep you safe. Also to show you this progression, so that you can get off that escalating progression as soon as you find yourself on it, because the costs keep growing. The costs that I've shared with you about the prison guards of Appease are huge, right? When you can't say no, when you can't ask for a raise, when you can't set your boundary, when you can't, let's see what else. When you don't have your own time, right? When you don't have your own, how that impacts your ability to show up in the world, to be authentic, to make your own money, to be independent, fully own your time, own your money, own your energy, own your desire, own your life. Huge costs, right? Do we even need to go further? And yet, with each next level of prison guards, these costs are mounting, and they actually become life-threatening. I mean, yeah, we're going to go there. We're going to go there and unpack that. My own story of discovering PSD starts in the emergency room. If I can save any woman from getting to the place where the prison guards truly become life-threatening, if we can interrupt that progression sooner, that's my fulfillment. That's my mission. That's my work in the world. And I'm so happy that you're here today. And if you're already resonating and you know that, oh yeah, I definitely recognize myself in the Appease prison guards and others too that we haven't yet talked about, and I am tired, sick and tired of paying the price of my time, my money, my sovereignty, my pleasure, my life, we are inviting the next cohort of thrivers to join us on the PSD healing journey. Right now, we're starting this month, the month of November. The group of world-changing women is gathering, and they're blowing our minds. Each cohort is just so powerful and phenomenal. And if you want to meet our graduates, our alums, thrivers who have been on this journey with us, you can check out the last link in my bio for inspiration to hear some of their stories. And in the first link of my bio, you can raise your hand and say, hey, I want to know more about this journey. It calls to me. I want to know more. I want to see if it's a fit for me. And this link will take you to schedule your one-on-one call with one of our alums, with one of our thrivers, who will help you get in touch with your desire even more, who will help you identify the prison guards that are getting in the way, and help you feel into whether continuing this journey with us and receiving our support on the journey of healing PSD and reclaiming your full authentic life, your ultimate success, happiness, and fulfillment, if that feels aligned. So that's the first link in my bio. In the last link in my bio, you can watch some inspirational stories. And if you missed the beginning of this video, I hope that you revisit it in my IGTV and leave a comment and share with me what is resonating. And if this has resonated with you, please share, tag a friend. This information needs to find every woman who is blaming herself right now for these things that are not her fault, and who is stuck, who is stuck giving away her time, giving away her energy, her money, her decisions in order to stay safe, making those decisions from her subconscious instead of consciously. And we're here to change that. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being a champion. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll be unpacking the next very surprising level of prison guards.